Hey guys, what's shaking? Welcome, Cup of Joe, Coach Joe. Today we're going to be going with a little Stell's drip. So I got some new beans. I haven't had an opportunity, deep dive, deep in the weeds here. When you get some new beans, got to tweak with it a little bit to figure out how you want that shot to pour. And to really kind of dial it in, so it takes a little bit. And I was feeling a little lazy this morning, so I went with the old tried and true, never fails, Stell's drip. Excuse me. Got some really good questions for this week. First thing, kind of segue straight off of Stell's. We'll also on Cup of Joe be highlighting what I'm calling the roaster series. So inside of Cup and Joe, we're going to do some Q&As with some local coffee roasters. We're going to kick things off with Robbie. I'm trying to coordinate our schedules, but I'm hoping I can get it done next week. Because next week I'm actually probably going to film this on Saturday because I think I'm going to be out of town Sunday. So I'm going to try and get with Robbie on that. Just a quick little Q&A about kind of the history of Stell's and where he got started and his passion for coffee and all that kind of good stuff. That'll be our roaster series, so stay tuned for that, which is awesome. Wanted to kind of dive straight into the questions. I got a couple from D, otherwise known as Sweet D, or as I like to call her D-Bone. One of the ones is she had kind of, and it was something I was working with her a little bit with, was she was asking about macros as far as nutrition goes, or do I track my macros? So I always tell people you don't have to track all of the time, but at some point you have to track your food. MyFitnessPal, a food journal, I don't. It doesn't really matter. I think MyFitnessPal is the easiest platform that I found, but you have to track your food in some way or another. So that being said, you don't have to do it constantly. I mean, if you want to, you can, but you at least need to do it for a while. Now, there's a give and take here. I am okay. Like my breakfast has not changed in like 5 years. Now, some people might get extremely bored with that, and I totally get that. The huge benefit to eating similar foods all the time is that you know exactly what's in all of your foods. So you don't have to continually go back and re-enter all your food and track everything and all that stuff because you know what it is. Right? You know how many calories are in 150 grams of broccoli and 7 ounces of chicken and 10 grams of barbecue sauce or whatever. But whether you choose to do macros, and there was a great podcast just came out with E.C. Sinkowski, and I can put a link in the bio for it, where she talks about macros. And whether you're just tracking calories or you're tracking macros, it's not that I think one is better than the other. Where I think it can get weird is that people will start really getting in the weeds with their diet because it fits in their macros. And you got to remember, the quantity of food dictates your weight, right? The quality of the food dictates your health. So yes, although you can fit ice cream into your macros, maybe not the healthiest thing in the world, right? So, and there's nothing wrong with ice cream, but I'm just saying that's where macros, in my opinion, can get weird, is that people get into this, does it fit into my macros? And if you guys have any questions about this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you need me to dive deeper into this, but I want to kind of give a broad brush. She had also mentioned a plateau, which can happen, right? I think sometimes people are actually kind of hitting a goal and they start looking at different parameters, like their performance is still improving, but maybe they're not losing weight or, something like that. And they think they need to change something. They need to change something where maybe they need to reset, take a hard look at what they are eating and being honest with their nutrition. And then maybe be like, well, I have been going out on the weekends and I have been X, Y, and Z. So it could be that kind of stuff. But then, and this is stuff I've all screwed up, is for sure tweak with it. Sometimes you got to give it like 6 to 8 weeks, which is hard. but like I had increased my carbs a little bit to see kind of how I responded, and I didn't really notice a performance difference there. So I went back and kind of lowered them back down. I increased the fats a little bit, and that's something I've been tweaking is my fat carb ratio. My protein is pretty solid. I get 1 gram protein per pound of body weight, so I eat somewhere between 190 to 200 grams of protein a day, and that's all from food, eggs and chicken mostly, but I'll tweak with the carbs and fats, and just I try and really base it on performance, sleep, and just general feel. Like, do I feel like I'm dragging in the middle of the day? Well, maybe I need to up the carbohydrates. Do I feel sometimes like fatty foods, a lot of times like avocado, stuff like that, are very satisfying and will make you feel full? Protein does the same thing, so maybe I got to tweak there. And then I'll give that some time, and, try and look at, do I feel better? Do I feel worse? Is it the same? And then just kind of mess with it a little bit. Like I had upped my calories a few months back, and I noticed, although I didn't really feel bad, I felt a little sluggish during longer workouts. So I kind of backed it back down, and I think I found a happy medium. I think I was too far on one end, and then I was too far, I went too far on the other end. So to kind of short story long is, you just kind of got to play with it. If you feel that plateau, just maybe try something, right? Like trying upping the carbs and lowering the fat, or vice versa, or upping them both, and then just tweak with it, and also, what are your goals, right? And what are you trying to achieve, performance wise? And, I was talking with someone that, maybe you have this goal to say lose 20 pounds, right? Well, one, where did that number come from? Two, what are you willing to sacrifice to make that happen, right? Like maybe, you don't want to give up your weekend social life, which is great, right? Going out to dinner and, going and hanging out with the boys and having some beers with the ladies and mimosa Sundays, right? But maybe you're not willing to sacrifice that, which is fine, but then your goal might take a little bit longer, right, to achieve. Where if you were to cut those things out, maybe you would get there in 6 to 8 months. Well, maybe with leaving those things in, it takes 13 months, right? So that's something to think about when I talk about goals and performance. She'd also questioned about a volume, and something I want to do is I've been working on is like a day in the life of myself, and also spotlighting some of the other coaches. Like, what does the day look like for Coach Joe? What does the day look like for Kelly? What does the day look like for Chris? And kind of behind the scenes kind of stuff. And she had asked about volume workouts. And what I always tell her, one is, if it's something you enjoy doing, do that. But if you hate it, don't feel like that's really going to move the needle. Maybe, it's dialing in the nutrition. But if you really love lifting and you want to do an extra lifting session, you feel good, yeah, by all means. And also, you can always check in with the coaches or myself especially and be like, hey, I was thinking about doing some squats today. What are we doing tomorrow? Are we squatting? Is this silly? Right? Or I tried to the best of our ability to match up what the strength program is, the block strength, with the Metcons, so that we're not back squatting on Monday and back squatting on Tuesday, right? So that's a kind of a good way to chart that. And I didn't write down the whole question, but she talked about longevity in CrossFit, and that some people think you get burned out. And I think where that burnout lands with CrossFit is because people feel like they have to do 7 WODs a day because they see a CrossFit Games athlete do that. And what I always tell people is you're gonna have ebbs and flows. I have days where I know I'll feel better if I train, but I'm really lacking that motivation. So maybe I'll adjust or modify the workout to something like, if my knee hurts and we're doing double unders, I'll use the ski, right? Or, if we're doing ring dips and my shoulder's bugging a little bit, maybe I'll do dumbbell bench, or I'll just do something that's fun. I won't look at the clock. I won't pay any attention to it. Sometimes I'll just lighten up the loading, make it a little lighter, and just move and just get sweaty because I know I'm going to feel better at the end, but maybe I just don't have that extra gear that week for whatever reason. And sometimes it could be sleep or, life stress or whatever. So I think the biggest thing that I'm trying to get through here is just keep it fun, right? And keep those questions coming. If you guys have any more questions about programming, volume, strength stuff like that. Joey had brought up, and we're working with Kelly. I'm trying to figure out when we can launch it. We're formulating it as far as doing some, maybe not so much of a challenge, but more of like a tutorial, an 8-week program based kind of loosely around intuitive eating, which is something I've been working on for years, and Kelly's been doing some classes to become an intuitive eating coach. And I just think there's a lot of really good stuff about understanding your cues and what hunger really is, and that it's okay that some days you're going to eat more and some days you're going to eat less. Some days you're going to be really hungry, some days you're not, right? And kind of understanding those things and not punishing yourself, like we talked about in a previous Cup of Joe, where it's like, I'm never going to eat sugar ever again, and still enjoying these things, not going overboard. Joey, Photo Joey, had mentioned that it's something that he's been working with and something that his wife has really grabbed a hold of, and it's really helped her out, which was awesome to hear. So stay tuned for that. More to come. The other one is on a lighter side. Couture had asked about logos, like where we come up with graphics. So a lot of times, those of you guys don't know, I have a retail merchandise buying background in the skate and surf industry. So I spend a lot of time buying men's clothing. With that, I feel like I generally can see things and understand, like, oh, that should be gray or this should be over here, but I can't put it into a computer, and I'm not good at drawing. So traditionally what I'll do is get inspired by something or someone. Someone will bring me something, or I'll see something on Instagram or TV or, whatever website, maybe I'm looking for something for myself. I'm like, man, that's a cool idea. How can we tweak that into a block shirt? And then I work with our screen printer, and I send him some ideas, and then he kicks it back, and then we tweak it, and then we evolve it, and then that's where it comes from. It usually starts with some type of inspiration, whether it's a thought, it's a color, it's something I see, it's a different graphic, and then I go, man, I've never really thought about using a tree, whatever, and then tweaking it that way. But thank you, Couture, for the question. And if you guys have any questions about apparel, next thing coming up is the Murph shirt. We'll launch that soon. That being said, we got Murph at the end of May, which will be awesome. Working on some dates for the barbecues, and the clinic stuff. As far as other stuff this week, we got a fun week of programming coming. We got a couple comps coming up. I know we got some guys competing down Whittier, Ryan Gallagher, Andre, and Rob. I don't know if anyone else is doing that competition. They're probably going to kill me. I think it's in May. I will get back to you on that. I know a bunch of people are doing the High Rocks. I'm trying to do it as well. I might do it as a team. I might do it as an individual. But I at least want to get down there. We're trying to figure out some dates. We're out of town a bunch of weekends with some weddings and some other stuff. So hopefully I can make that happen. But stay tuned. High Rocks coming up in May. But the big one for this week is quarterfinals, baby. So super pumped. We have 31, I believe, people that made it to quarterfinals, which is dope. Workouts get released Wednesday at noon. I know it's Wednesday. I think it's noon. They traditionally, I still haven't fully figured this out. I was talking with Brian about it the other day. Rich, usually they do some windows where it's like first 2 workouts have to be turned in by Friday, and then the next 2 workouts got to turn in by Sunday. I know Chris was working on some stuff about getting everyone together in Beaumont on Sunday. More details to come on that. Obviously, we'll be talking about quarterfinals throughout the week, but we'll have a better idea once the workouts get released, because it's we can have the best plan on the planet until all of a sudden the workout doesn't work in X, Y, or Z. So we're going to have to kind of adapt and overcome with that. So Wednesday, once we know what the workouts are, then we can better formulate a plan and let all of you guys know that want to come out and support, because our idea was to try and get as many of the quarterfinals together and almost give it that individual comp kind of feel, really get the juice going, maybe a little nerves, maybe a little energy. Everyone always performs a little better, even though they freak out about it, and then get some of you guys down and cheer those people on and get the energy going, and then, you know, do a little barbecue or something afterwards. So stay tuned for that. We're working on that. So keep the questions coming, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Great stuff. If you need any further, if you want to dive deeper in the macro stuff, I love talking about the nutrition stuff. Hit me up, call, text me, whatever. We can even set up a time at the gym or over the phone where we can go over some nutrition stuff. If you have any questions about workouts, all that, let me know. Different programs. If you want my opinion on something, hit me up, right? I'm always around. Stay tuned for the day in the life stuff. Stay tuned for the nutrition challenge, intuitive eating. And then, yeah, let's go quarterfinalists. Thanks, guys. Let's have an awesome week and let's get after it. And cheers. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Stells. Roaster series. Stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys. Deuces.